the flaming fire of light. John 8:12, Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. Introduction. In this chapter, there is a theme which will resonate through its pages. That theme is, light as it relates to the Bible, is more powerful and pervasive than writers and interpreters have relegated it. Beginning with creation's edict, let there be light, there is a direct relation to Jesus' statement, I am the light of the world. Every instance of light in the Bible is affected by these two pronouncements. Both statements in the Word must be reviewed as the base source of energy, power and illumination, one physical and the other spiritual. Both examples have similarity as to centrality and both have overwhelming resources which cannot be ignored. The creation of light issued from the central being and matter of the Father of lights and has been described as consuming fire. Therefore, any discussion of being consumed by his fire must incorporate such a study. 2 Corinthians 4:6, For it is the God who commanded light to shine out of darkness, who has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Paul's Damascus Road experience. Paul was overwhelmed by the brightness of the sun. His multiple testimonies about his conversion always portray the Damascus Road experience as an encounter with Jesus who was surrounded by light brighter than the midday sun. Acts 9:3-4, And as he journeyed he came near Damascus, and suddenly a light shone around him from heaven. Then he fell to the ground, and heard a voice saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Acts 26:13-14, O King, along the road I saw a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, shining around me and those who journeyed with me. In the New Testament, Paul and John exceed all the other writers in references to such light. Paul had reason to know the generative power of Jesus through his Damascus experience, as did John, who experienced a closer relationship to Jesus than most of the other disciples. They both knew the volume of brightness in Jesus' statement, Matthew 5:14, You are the light of the world. This light was not the elementary child's light which was taught as, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. No, Jesus was talking about illumination as bright as the sun. Such light was to be enough to light a city or fill an entire room. The Holy Spirit-filled saint was slashes to radiate enough power to illumine the population of a city and at the same time overcome darkness in the compactness of a single room. Propensity of light. If the believer is to be like him on the earth, then let him shine with the same radiance that first came from his inner core. Scientists talk about the sun being the primary star and source of all earthly energy. When Jesus was on the earth, he declared himself in these kinds of terms. John 12:36, While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of light. Romans 13:12-13, The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Therefore let us cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk properly, as in the day. A star is a massive, luminous ball of plasma. The nearest star to Earth is the Sun, which is the source of most of the energy on Earth. Other stars are visible in the night sky, when they are not outshone by the sun. For most of its life, a star shines because thermonuclear fusion in its core releases energy that traverses the star's interior and then radiates into outer space. Almost all elements heavier than hydrogen and helium were created by fusion processes in stars. Wikipedia. Note, the believer's brightness comes from his inner core and is released outward. John, the Baptist, was light when Jesus spoke of John,
the misfeatured.
He spoke in terms of light. John 5:35-36, He, John, the baptizer, was the burning and shining lamp, and you were willing for a time to rejoice in his light. But I have a greater witness, light, than John's. For the works which the Father has given me to finish, the very works that I do bear witness of me, that the Father has sent me. John 1:6-9, There was a man sent from God, whose name was John. This man came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light which gives light to every man coming into the world. Teachings of Jesus involved light. Jesus always taught in terms of the light, no matter what the subject. When he spoke of the 10 virgins, his expose of their faithfulness was determined by their light. His 10 virgins revealed 2 different attitudes. 5 had lamps that burned brightly, and 5 were advised to obtain more oil. The deciding factor was not their virginity, but their luminosity. Really, this is the deciding factor for all of Christianity. Every major move of God throughout revival history has pinioned on the fire factor burning in the spirit of man like that which burns in the spirit of God. Cloven tongues of fire were the only manner in which the Spirit could have manifested himself in that upper room. It illumined that room, and that room illumined the world. Yes, the Spirit came like a dove upon Jesus, who was already the light. Light first, then the dove is God's order of choice. Luke 11:36, Therefore take heed that the light which is in you is not darkness. If then your whole body is full of light, having no part dark, the whole body will be full of light, as when the bright shining of a lamp gives you light. Light is dynamic in that it penetrates and changes what it contacts and ultimately affects. Acts 13:47, For so the Lord has commanded us, I have set you as a light to the Gentiles, that you should be for salvation to the ends of the earth. One's personal choice is not a factor in the matter of light. These are commands. Matthew 10:27, Whatever I tell you in the dark, speak in the light, and what you hear in the ear, preach on the housetops. Some factors of light. The whole matter of witnessing is a factor of light. Louis Lloyd Oliver, of Galveston, an architectural engineer, drew me aside on more than one occasion during his study of the propensities of light, and with fervor informed me of some trace or element of light that he had discovered. He often exclaimed vigorously, Light is it. There is no other element or foundation of science apart from it. Ephesians 5:8-14, For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light, for whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore he says, Awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. When men contrive to do the work of the Lord on their own, they lose the element of supernatural light. Christ, the light, is the only source for this dimension. Over and over in the New Testament there are repeated dictums about the believer being both the repository of light and the dispenser of light. Light people have a mandate to shine and a prohibition to stay away from that which drains away their light. Colossians 1:12-13, Giving thanks to the Father who has qualified us to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in the light. He has delivered us from the power of darkness and conveyed us into the kingdom of the Son of his love. 1 Thessalonians 5:5, You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. 2 Corinthians 6:14-15, Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness? And what communion has light with darkness? How easy to report from pulpits and through programs that one's sins are remitted, forgiven and cleansed, while saying little of the relationship between that forgiveness and one's walking in light. 1 John 1:5-7, This is the message which we have heard from him and declare to you, that God is light and in him is no darkness at all. If we say that we have fellowship with him, and walk in darkness, we lie and do not practice the truth. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus Christ his Son cleanses us from all sin. The supernatural light, whose source is undeniably from him, shines just as brightly in the saint as it does him. This light is a white-hot flaming fire that will not be deterred nor extinguished in its journey. The presence of the flame is undeniable truth that the one in whom it dwells in him. 1 Peter 2:9, But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. John 11:9-10, If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if one walks in the night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. In Jesus, the light is perfected. In the saint, as well, it is perfected. Every description of the end walk is bathed in the brightness of this flame. Revelation speaks in wondrous terms about the city of God and the fact that the Sun of Righteousness is the light. Revelation 21:23-24, The city had no need of the sun or of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God illuminated it. The Lamb is its light. And the nations of those who are saved shall walk in its light, and the kings of the earth bring their glory and honor into it. In Paul's elaborate and sonorous rhapsody about Jesus, light was the principal accolade. 1 Timothy 6:15-16, He who is the blessed and only potentate, the King of kings and Lord of lords, who alone has immortality, dwelling in unapproachable light, whom no man has seen or can see, to whom be honor and everlasting power. Amen. Jesus inseparable from light. Light and Jesus are inseparable. As the Son of the living, consuming fire, God, he is truly the light. On the Mount of Transfiguration, Matthew detailed the event in terms of the light. The flaming fire of the Son of God shone in splendor. Matthew 17:2-3, His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with him. The city of the saints is always characterized in light. Moses and Elijah exhibited their intertwining with his light while on that mountain. It is the character of heaven. Revelation 21:9-12, Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. Her light was like a most precious stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. The lost world awaits the shining light of God's servants, for as the following passage reveals, the world doesn't cry out for signs and wonders. It doesn't wait for a great preacher or missionary. It doesn't pray for a mighty revival and an outpouring of special gifts. The world waits for one thing, the light. The Lord has always planned for his light to be manifested through Jesus and the sons of light. Matthew 4:16-17, The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light, and upon those who sat in the region and shadow of death light has dawned. The end study of the flaming fire of light.